There we go. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. It is another reading sprints evening for us here at DoubleBookedCo. Is this the last? Yeah, this is the last reading sprints of the year, 2024. So you will not see us for reading sprints again until January, which is kind of sad, but it'll be nice to kind of have a little bit of a break. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I agree. Love you all, but nice.
Yes. It'll be nice to kind of see how December goes. But that being said, we're very, very excited for January and a new year 4 of our book club. So before we get into any of our reading sprints this evening, we're going to talk about that first. So as you know, last time you saw us when we did our live discussion of the last book we read, which I can't remember even what that was. Oh, Far from the Madding Crowd. We discussed how we were going to have 2 separate polls for the month of January. So the first poll was just authors that we're going to revisit. So authors we've read in the past. So Laura's going to tell you all who won and then what 3 titles you will get to vote from for our January book, the first book of 2025. So take it away, Laura.
I know. All right. So I don't know the numbers, but I think it was close. Our winner for January is Ruth Ware. So we're reading something mystery, twisty, spooky, don't know what. So since the book we read the first time was her very first book, which was In the Dark, Dark Wood, we thought we would just pick her second, third, and fourth releases. So these are a little bit older, but hopefully that means that they're easy to find either like library, Kindle, thrift store. I've seen all of these titles at multiple thrift stores, and I'm not a big thrifter. So they should be accessible most places for most people, hopefully. So first up is The Woman in Cabin 10. This is from 2016, unbelievably. And here we go. Lo Blacklock, a journalist who writes for a travel magazine, has just been given the assignment of a lifetime, a week on a luxury cruise with only a handful of cabins. The sky is clear, the water's calm, and the veneered select guests jovial as the exclusive cruise ship, the Aurora, begins her voyage in the picturesque North Sea. At first, Lo's stay is nothing but pleasant. The cabins are plush, dinner parties are sparkling, and the guests are elegant. But as the week wears on, frigid winds whip the deck, gray skies fall, and Lo hears what she can only describe as a dark and terrifying nightmare, a woman being thrown overboard. The problem? All passengers and crew members remain accounted for, and so the ship sails on as if nothing has happened, despite Lo's desperate attempts to convey that something or someone has gone terribly, terribly wrong. With surprising twists, spine-tingling turns, and a setting that proves as uncomfortably claustrophobic as it is eerily beautiful, Ruth Ware offers up another taut and intense read in The Woman in Cabin 10, one that will leave even the most sure-footed reader restlessly uneasy long after the last page is turned. Okay. So next up we have if that is page-wise, I have a hardcover copy, and it's like 340 pages, so not terrible. Then we have The Lion Game up next. Okay. On a cool June morning, a woman is walking her dog in the idyllic coastal village of Sultan along a tidal estuary known as the Reach. Before she can stop him, the dog charges into the water to retrieve what first appears to be a wayward stick, but to her horror turns out to be something much more sinister. The next morning, 3 women in and around London, Fatima, Thea, and Issa, receive the text they had always hoped would never come from the fourth in their formerly inseparable clique, Kate, that only says, "I need you." The 4 girls were best friends at Sultan, a second-rate boarding school set near the cliffs of the English Channel. Each different in their own way, the 4 became inseparable and were notorious for playing the lying game, telling lies at every turn to both fellow boarders and faculty. But their little game had consequences, and as the four converge in present-day Sultan, they realize their shared past was not as safely buried as they had once hoped. That is roughly 390 pages, so a little longer. And then lastly, we have The Death of Mrs. Westaway. On a day that begins like any other, Hal receives a mysterious letter bequeathing her a substantial inheritance. She realizes very quickly that the letter was sent to the wrong person, but also that the cold reading skills she has honed as a tarot card reader might help her claim the money. Soon, Hal finds herself at the funeral of the deceased, where it dawns on her that there is something very, very wrong about this strange situation and the inheritance at the center of it. Full of spellbinding menace and told in Ruth Ware's signature suspenseful style, this is an unputdownable thriller from the Agatha Christie of our time. And this is 416 pages. So, some creepy thrillers for us to choose from. You will have 2 weeks to choose which one we're going to be reading in January, and we will announce the winner in 2 weeks already. We're coming up fast here when we have our live discussion for Yellow Wife, which is the book of the month for this month. So, yeah. I hope some of you have not read all of these. I know these are really popular and have been for a long time, and they're also popular book club titles. So, I don't know, but hopefully something in here will be our winner.
I've already decided I don't want to read one of them.
Okay. That'll be the one that gets picked, probably.
I know. I'm not gonna say which one it is either, because I'm gonna silently put vibes out into the universe that it's not that one. Yeah. It just sounds too creepy to me. So anywho, if you're joining us this evening or in replay, we are doing our reading sprints this evening for our November read of Yellow Wife, which I know for some of us in the book club, some of us have started it, some of us have finished it, but for many of us, we may be starting it tonight. It's actually not that long. It's only 275 pages, which I was surprised. I thought this book was longer, but I can tell you, so I have started it. And I blew through the first part, which is 70 pages. So it is quite compelling, fast read. So I'm hoping I can get through the second part this evening, because I just want to know what's going to happen. It's going to be gruesome. It's going to be horrific, but I want to know. I want to know what's going to happen. So I'm excited. But tell us in the comments, are you going to be joining us reading Yellow Wife? Are you reading something different? Are you doing something else productivity-wise? Are you getting anything done around the house? Are you doing anything like Christmas decorating? I hope not. I always wait until after Thanksgiving, but some of us, we're ahead of the game. But yeah, what else are you reading this month, Laura?
Oh, not much.
Not much.
I've only finished 2 books this month, which is like nothing. And I'm planning on starting The Yellow Wife tonight. I say planning on because since I checked it out from the library 2.5 weeks ago, I have not laid eyes on it. So I need to go make sure it's there, and if not, find it, and if not, crap myself and try to find it desperately before it's due. So I'm hoping to start that tonight. Otherwise, yeah. I'm on my Kindle. I'm reading the first in a duology that I think might be YA, and I wasn't sure it was. It's called The Easy Life in Kamusari. So this main character is like 17 or 18, and their parents send them to Kamusari Forest, like a totally different prefecture in Japan from where they live, and they learn forestry for a year. That's their job, is to learn forestry. And this is like a modern kid who never been in a forest before or anything else. So they're like just getting their feet wet. And like the first day there, had the first sleep, and they're getting into the forest for the first time. So I don't know why I'm reading that right now. I don't know how I heard about it. But working on that, falling asleep very quickly at night, not because of the book, just because I'm old and tired. So yeah, working on that. Otherwise, I don't know. How about you? What else are you reading this month? Well, we have our buddy read, which neither one of us are really reading.
I know. Yeah. I know. Every time I go in there, because I have it borrowed again, which I should have waited until I was actually going to start reading it so that I didn't lose it again. But so Nanreth Hall. So The Secrets of Nanreth Hall. I do need to get back into that. It's decent. It's just so slow. It's hard to I have other books that I'm like, these are more compelling. But yeah, I do need to get into that. I did just yesterday, I listened to the whole book, which I was just, just been working and cleaning, and today was another crazy cleaning day. But I read the second, or I listened to it on audio, the second in this series that I found on Hoopla by Sarah Painter. The first one is called The Ward Witch, and then the second is called The Bookkeeper. And it's decent. I mean, I think the first book was better than the second book, but not by a huge margin. I mean, they're both pretty good. And there's a third called The Island God. And I think I might try to listen to that again, or within the month, because I kind of just want they all live in this island that is like a sanctuary, and you slowly kind of get to know why each of the people are there. And there's not many, there's like 7 people. And some of them have significant others, some of them do not, but some of them are human and some of them are not. Like, it's very interesting. So there's a lot of mystery to it.
Yeah.
There's more mystery than magical, which is nice because it keeps you reading. So I'd like to get into the third one of that. But other than that, just reading alien stuff, which is just taking up all of my time.
Did you make your big ultimate map of what's from
not yet? No.
Okay.
No. I gotta wait. I'm starting to confuse people when they're being brought up in the series. So yeah, I gotta do that soon. But anyways, we're not gonna talk about that here. Yellow Wife, of course, but I did pause on that because when I read that first section, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm reading this way too fast. I have to wait for sprints. So now I'll read that. I feel like there was something else. I did get a whole stack of Christmas cozy mysteries and Christmas romances from the library. And I feel like I should start those soon so that I can talk to them earlier in the month of December, so that if people want to catch up on a Christmas read, I'm not telling them, after Christmas. So I think I might start those next week as well. So I don't know. Since I've not created TBRs, I feel like I just am reading more. I don't know, because I'm not I don't feel like I'm strapped down to a list of books that I, oddly contrived at the beginning of the month. I just read whatever hits me, and that's been good. So
nice.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Looks like Andy read Yellow Wife a while back. So listening to Simon Sort of Says tonight. Simon Sort of Says. I've never heard of that before.
Me either.
What that is. Well, good for you. Glad you're here with us. Other than that, so I don't know if I told you this, Laura. Now I'm kind of switching gears, but TV wise. So I had opened up my Netflix app on my phone for some reason. I think maybe to find something for the kids because we were out and about and I needed to have them sit for a minute. And I saw on there that 2 shows that I watched that, have a huge block of time in between release are on Netflix now. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So it's Lincoln Lawyer. So it's the 3rd season of Lincoln Lawyer. So I'm super excited about that. And then, which I had no idea that this was coming, but The Diplomat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So now I'm like, oh, when am I going to have time? When am I going to have time to watch these shows?
Well, The Diplomat only has 6 episodes in the 2nd season, which
helps. I know. They do have shorter, because I think the Lincoln Lawyer only has 8 episodes. They are longer. They're not I think they're an hour or something like that. But And like too, like I don't know for like The Diplomat, like should I go back and watch the first season so I remember all the things?
It
I think I'd be fine.
Yeah, it picks up like right immediately afterwards the events
Okay.
of the first season.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you've already watched it?
Yeah, I had meant to for a long time since the first season was out. I meant to watch it. And then finally, when my friend Annie was like, "Did you watch this yet? What's wrong with you?" And I said, "No, all right, fine, I'll watch it. I'll try it." And then I was just immediately hooked. And I just went right from first right through the second.
Oh, so
And
you all had it at the same time.
yeah, but I
Mm.
think I watched that second season in like 2 days
Wow.
because
Okay.
it was so much more intense in so many different ways than the first season, which is unbelievable. And then the way the second season ends, I am so flummoxed. There's no date for season 3. It's renewed already, but like, holy crap.
Oh. Yeah, see, that's the other thing is like I have to decide, do I want to watch this right away or do I want to wait a
Right.
couple of months so that my time in between isn't
Yeah,
that long?
I know.
Because I just randomly found it because I was watching a lot of like political stuff. I don't know why. I was watching I watched Madam Secretary and then I watched Designated Survivor and
Mhm.
then so Netflix always gives you a bunch of stuff that seems the same. And then
Yeah.
Diplomat, which I was like, oh, do I really want to watch this? It's only one season, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I'll just watch it. And I was hooked immediately. And I think I watched the whole series or the whole season in like a couple of days.
Yeah.
But I must have hit it when it was closer to the end of the wait for the second season because it's only been like maybe 6 months since I watched it.
Mhm.
If I watch that now, I'm gonna have to wait like a year and a half for the
Right.
next season. And
Right.
that's just too much for me. So sometimes I have to wait.
Yeah.
Unlike Bridgerton, where we watch the entire season the
Oh,
day it comes out,
yeah.
like I can't do that to myself with some of these shows.
I know.
So I think maybe I should wait a little bit, but I also really want to know what happens.
Yeah.
So
I was going to
oh,
ask you if you've heard anything about Will Trent when that is coming back, if it is, because that was kind of cliffhangery.
it was very cliffhangery.
Like,
I don't know, but if you recall, that show has always been really confusing as to when it comes back, and
mhm.
it always has weird breaks. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the previous writer's strike. I have no idea. I didn't even know Abbott Elementary was coming back until it was back.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really like not in the loop with network TV.
Yeah.
So, but anywho, thank you, Andy, for clearing that up for me. I appreciate you.
Nice.
But let's jump into a reading sprint. During the sprint, I'm going to go ahead and put our poll up for our Ruth Ware books, and then read. I'm going to start reading in The Yellow Wife. So if you are just joining us, please feel free to let us know in the comments what you're reading, or if you have to leave early, please let us know and say bye-bye. I found a gothic layer ambiance. Just
Oh,
felt right for tonight. So I'm going to put
okay.
that up for everyone else. And per the usual, Laura and I will mute ourselves and we'll do 25 minutes. That usually goes pretty well for us. But
Yeah.
until we see you in 25 minutes, we hope you are very productive.
Mhm.
Earning rewards for feeding your little carnivore is good, but turning those
Okay, okay.
Sorry, what?
I said, how'd you do?
Oh, my light went out. Okay. And that's not working either. All right, well, apparently we're just gonna be in the dark here for me. I did find Yellow Wife. However, I also found a library book that is due tomorrow. So I'm reading that. It's a middle grade graphic novel. So I read 100 and let's say 40 pages in the book 3 of Lightfall. Have you heard about this one? It is so good. The first 2 are excellent. I wish there wasn't such a long wait in between. But the author is Tim Probert. There's the author.
It's called Lightfall.
Yeah. It's really great. So this third one is the newest one.
Tim Probert.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I am 2/3 of the way through that. Took a little while to remind myself like what the story was and where everything left off, but I'm right in it again. It's a really nice story. Big adventure. So yeah, how'd you do?
Well, I did get our poll up. So
Okay.
for those of you wanting to vote for January's book, to remind you, Ruth Ware was our winner from our previous poll. And so I put the current poll up on our community tab, which has 3 titles you can choose from. So I did that, and then I read 1 chapter in Yellow Wife in part 2, and it's there's just reading these kind of books is just so like you just bad things happen, and the whole time you're just hoping they don't, but in the back of your head you're like, it probably will happen because that's life.
Yeah.
That's how like this stuff really did happen, and it makes bile just come up my throat every time. And yeah, so
What a good book to read at night.
I know, it's so sad. I wish more people would read books like this. Like, I know these are fiction, but they are conjurings of the past. Like, these kinds of things actually happened. Yeah, it's just a wound that is never going to close, I think, for our country.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But anywho, I think the writing, I mean, the stuff that's happening is horrific. But the book, I feel, is doing a very good job of presenting it in a way that is just direct and compassionate in a way. I don't know. Like, I'm enjoying the writing. I feel like I would like to read more from this author. Like, that's how I'm feeling right now. So
Nice.
Looks like we have Mrs. Peacock in the house. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. Yes. So our book club previously read from Ruth Ware. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but we read her in October. What was the book called that we read?
In a Dark, Dark Wood.
Right. And so in January, we decided we were going to revisit an author. So we had 3 authors to pick from, and Ruth Ware won. So now we're going to be able to read another one. And it's kind of exciting, but from all of the ones that we have, they all sound very
stressful.
Yes. But it'll be exciting to read. So, you're reading The House of Seven Gables. Very nice.
Good for you.
I just found that at a book sale, and I might keep it, but I realized when I got it home, it has a little bit of a smell to it. And I don't know, ever since I had my kids, my sense of smell has been so much more intense that I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it, but I do really want to read that one. Yeah. Have you, beside Far from the Madding Crowd that we just read, have you read any classics lately?
I don't think so. There was one I started on my Kindle. I'd had for a long time. So I have my original Kindle. I got it 10 years ago now, and I finally just kicked it last year. It wasn't holding a charge anymore. It wasn't syncing. It was a problem. So probably for the last couple of years, I hadn't really been keeping up with going through on my Kindle and deleting things. It just sort of disappeared. It goes back to the library, and that was it. Well, now that I have a newer Kindle, I realized that almost all of my previous library checkouts are still sitting on my Kindle and lists. So I've been going through, back through all my books in my Kindle and deleting at least half of them because they were all old library things,
Mm-hmm.
So I found an old classic in there. It wasn't Nathaniel Hawthorne, but it was a contemporary of his. So an early American.
Stephen Crane?
No, I'm not going to think of it, but it was something that was a gothic-y. Washington Irving, maybe it was Washington Irving. Not Sleepy Hollow, but some of his other stuff. I think in the collection. So I was working on that, but I just sort of drifted away from it because there's no due date. It's just sitting in my Kindle.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it for classics. I really need to get back to making a point of reading them more often. It's just been too long. I get distracted by all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? Any classics?
Yeah, I recently reread The Red Pony by John Steinbeck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which I read with Ange, and I realized that for the longest time I've talked about how The Red Pony has been one of my favorite classics. Read it when I was a 7th grader, and really has always stuck with me. I've always remembered it, and so it's always been one of my favorites. So we were going to read it together, and I realized in reading it that no, I did not read all of Red Pony. In my class, we only read The Red Pony. So The Red Pony, it's 4 different chapters, and what I'm guessing is 4 different installments. You know how most classics, they were magazine installments. So The Red Pony is 1, and then there are 3 more that continue the story, but they're not you could read them separately.
Yeah.
But together they do also form a bigger part of the whole. And I realized, I'm I didn't read any of this other stuff. I don't remember any of this. So it was nice that I thought to reread that, because then I actually was able to read the rest of the story, which, is not as good as the Red Pony section, but it gives a whole nother meaning to a lot of the story. And I just like Steinbeck's writing. We've read Steinbeck together before, and so that's probably the most recent classic, other than Far from the Madding Crowd, that I read. Yes, I agree. I love classics as well, and depending on the classic, yes, it does take a long time to read, if you don't have a designated date of when you want to finish. And it's the language, you know, because we have to understand that we live in a different time, that we speak differently, writers write differently. So when you read classics, your whole brain has to shift into this other vocabulary and tone and pace and measure. It's like reading a different language. So anytime I've ever had anybody like, oh, classics, like they're hard. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. And even for someone who likes to read classics and I feel has read more classics than the average reader, I would never say that they're easy. Half the time I think I get the translation incorrect. I go, I don't really think I got that, but yeah, so they are hard. Yes. Yes. But I do love them. And a lot of them end up having adaptations. So if you really get stumped, go ahead and watch the film.
Even if it's really different, there's enough similar that, it's probably close enough.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, it took me, I think, 4 different starts to finally finish Wuthering Heights. That book, the first chapter of that book was so disorienting to me that it took me forever. Like, it literally took me listening and reading it together to be able to finish that book. I couldn't, like, the first chapter is so, like, confusing to me. And until I listened and read it at the same time, I finally understood that there was a person that arrives and, like, is a visitor. And that's how the whole thing starts. Like, I couldn't get it. I was like, what is going on? I don't understand. Who are these people? What are they talking about? So, yeah. Yeah. But classics are good. They are good. I think what I like most about classics is, one, they're very pure in a sense. Like, there's no filter, but they're also, like, not full of, like, I don't know, today's writers, sometimes I feel like they're trying too hard sometimes. But at the same time, what my favorite thing is there's so much in today's writing that you would have to have read the classic to get the comparison or get the joke or the, the what word am I looking for? The reference. So you always feel like you're on the inside track or something like that. So I do like that. Ooh. So is Laura. Laura, that's one of your favorites, isn't it? Wuthering Heights?
I don't know if it's one of my favorites. It's been a long time since I've read it, probably since high school. But I know I did really like it. I really enjoyed it. Like, sucked in immediately, just like ate it up. I mean, yeah. When I was in high school, it was one of my favorites. It was also one of the only ones I had really read outside of school that wasn't assigned that I enjoyed, So, yeah, it's due a reread. It's been probably 30 years. So, yeah.
Okay. 1 second there. Sorry, my dog's in here now. Hi.
Hi, Dwight.
Well, do we want to do another sprint?
Sure.
Okay. Are you you're going to finish your graphic novel?
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. And then I can start The Yellow Wife and be really depressed. So you're going to keep reading?
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's like so weird. Like, it's so, the stuff is so hard. It really is. But at the same time, it's like you just want to find out what happens. It's really, this is a good book. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to keep reading. I'm on chapter 11, which is page 82. And I'm guessing, that's a really short chapter. I'm guessing I'll get 2 chapters done.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll do 25 minutes. I'll put on the same, I had to change the thing because I don't like when they have mid-roll ads or whatever, because like I'm trying to watch this for like ambiance, and you putting like a random ad every 5 minutes is so annoying. So I did find one that has no mid-roll ads.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do another sprint, 25 minutes. I hope you get stuff done out there. And if you're just joining us, just let us know what you'll be reading. Good luck, Miss Peacock, with your House of Seven Gables. I hope it's good, and we'll look forward to hearing how you do. And Andy, if you're still here with us too, we hope your middle grade is wonderful. Okay, guys. And we're back. So if you're with us, let us know how you did in the comments. I myself did what I predicted. I got the next 2 chapters read, and where is this book going? Ugh. Nothing terrible has happened, but something that I thought was going to happen happened.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
But how was your graphic novel?
Good. It was good. It goes right into a 4th one, so there will be a 4th one, hopefully. And things have really changed. So part of the deal with this is that, I mean, it's a ragtag group of friends that get together, and they're all different races mostly. And they're trying to figure out how to save light from disappearing forever. They're trying to save the sun. So they're like searching the planet to try and find out like what's a legend, what's real. And they have found a lot of stuff at a really interesting library this time around, a huge library. They did a lot of research there. And they had this weird thing just happen that like clarified all these myths and like into fact. So now they know better like steps to take and like what they can discard for information and everything else. So yeah, they're heading on to part 4 now, and yeah, so it was really, really good. It was excellent. I think I have to wait another probably 1.5 years for the next one, which is annoying, but yeah. So that was very good. And then I got a whopping 6 pages into Yellow Wife. So far Rachel died. And Phoebe is supposed to go up to that big house, which is not going to end well. I know. But, yeah. So that's where I am.
Gotcha.
Barely in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah.
So anyhow.
Is that any better?
Oh, it's about the same.
Okay.
So if you don't need it, don't blind yourself.
It's all right. Blind anyways.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to mention, and I feel like it totally left my head. Oh, I was watching, so with it being November and being nonfiction November, a lot of booktubers are talking about nonfiction right now, obviously.
Mhm.
But I was watching someone, they were doing like a nonfiction November tag. And one of the questions was something about like, do you remember the first nonfiction book that you read or bought or whatever? And my instant thought was when I was a senior in high school, one of my English classes, we had to do like an anthology. That's what they called it at the time, where you had to pick a fiction book, a nonfiction book, poetry, and then something else. I can't remember what the last thing was. And for the nonfiction book, I had picked Gorillas in the Mist by Diane Foster. And that was the very first that I can remember nonfiction book that like I picked on my own, like, and wanted to read. I'm sure when I was younger, there's probably like kid-friendly nonfiction books that I had read, but like going out of my way to find something that I wanted to read for this thing. And I just remember reading it and being like completely blown away that it was real. Like this stuff really happened, and like absolutely loving it. And then watching the Sigourney Weaver adaptation of the story and just being so upset that she dies, even though I knew that she did.
Yeah.
And this is me being like a 17-year-old kid, you know. But like, do you remember like a nonfiction book that was like your first, if you remember like the first nonfiction book that you ever read?
No, because I always read nonfiction.
Okay.
So growing up, I had Highlights. I subscribed to Highlights magazine,
Mm-hmm.
which, you know, famous doctors' offices all over the place. So we always had that. And I had Ranger Rick magazine.
Oh yeah, we had all those. Yep.
And then I also had, I think it was called like Zootopia. It was like a zoo magazine. So each issue had a different themed animal. The worst was when spiders came in the mail because I couldn't even touch the pictures with the spiders on them. I was so afraid of spiders. I was like, Mom, can you turn the page? Like, I couldn't do it. She was like, oh, for God's sakes, yes, I'll do it, you know. So we always did that stuff, and we were always referencing like nature guides and stuff to look up different kinds of mushrooms, and we were always looking up birds and plants and herbs and stuff. So we've always referenced things. I've always read things. It's just normal to be reading really a lot of nature stuff, which is funny now how much nature stuff I read. But so it was always that stuff. But a couple of books I remember specifically from like the fairly recent past, like the last 15 years, say, was Devil in the White City by Eric Larson, his first book. That was, I think, sort of really got me more convinced to read nonfiction more regularly. So I did for quite a long time. But the one as an adult that was like a different subject matter, and it was something that I hadn't read a lot about before. The title will escape me, but the book is by Hampton Sides, and it was about Martin Luther King Jr. and his killing. So we go back and forth with following Martin and following his assassin. And then there was also, I believe, if I remember this correctly, like the FBI or someone investigating the guy, like they knew something was hinky ahead of time or something, or CIA, I don't know. But it was like the law enforcement essentially. And then, you know, but then they were all kind of getting woven together and tighter until it happened. That was the first narrative nonfiction I had read, really. And that was just, it was fantastic. So that was kind of blew my mind. But yeah, nonfiction's always been around. And I go in spurts, like with a lot of stuff too. You know, like I read a whole bunch of cozy mysteries for a long time and whatever else. And looking at my bookshelves here in the living room, most of them are nonfiction and unread. Like, I really got to read this stuff more. You know, sometimes you can read them faster, sometimes they're slower. It depends on the book and writing stuff. But yeah, I got to make more of a priority. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess I didn't think about, when we were at our grandma's and then she ended up like giving them to us as gifts. We used to have these huge binders and it was like a subscription thing. So you had this huge binder and then you'd get these like inserts to put in the binder that were all like different animals.
Yeah.
So like, and you would get it like, you would order it through a catalog. So like you would get all these inserts to put in. And I remember like just going through all of them because it was like you'd have the animal or insect or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then it would like tell you what they ate, where they live, what their breeding pattern was, like all this stuff. And I remember just being fascinated by that.
Yeah.
And it was like
Cool.
it like pulled out. So like you would like
Oh,
it would be
nice.
the wrong thing and you'd be like
Yeah.
looking out of it and they had the really like graphic pictures in some cases. But yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But I think as an adult too, I've noticed that I do enjoy the narrative nonfiction a lot more than other nonfictions. That Devil in the White City, I remember I did a buddy read with that and I really enjoyed that a lot. And the elementary school I researched
cool.
Scott Key, first nonfiction I remember.
Yeah.
And yeah, love Devil in the White City. I really liked that a lot.
Yeah.
Although I remember, so I think after I had read that, I did a video on it and I feel like I had somebody respond saying that like Eric Larson like put in a bunch of stuff that wasn't real in there or something. And I was just like, I'm not interested in this comment.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like send me a link to prove it. But I'm pretty
Right.
sure he's a pretty well-established author. And yeah. But that was really interesting because I mean, I knew of both events that happened in that book. I knew about the World Fair, you know, and all the things that happened there. But like, I didn't really know, and I knew about Holmes, but you don't think about them together, you know.
Right.
And so that's what really made that book very interesting. And when you were reading it, you were like, I want to get back to Holmes. Like, what's happening with him?
Yeah.
And then, like, you'd read the World's Fair part, and you're like, okay, this is interesting, but can we get back to Holmes?
You know, I was always a weird kid who was interested in World's Fairs, like always interested in them. So I knew there was one in Chicago that's the closest, obviously, that's ever been to where we live in Wisconsin. So I was like, God, that's just amazing. And I don't think I've ever been to like the old fairgrounds knowingly, or like it's like a couple of the buildings are still standing and like one of the museums is in one of the old things. Never been to that museum before. Like I should make a point to do that at some point, like take a vacation to Chicago and like go specifically to see those things, not just like go to the art museum again, which I love. It's wonderful. But you know, I'd like to really actually see those things because I love World's Fair stuff. I'm such a loser. It's so interesting though.
Well, it's interesting because of all the stuff that was shown and seen there that you don't think about in today's world and the way things are presented nowadays. You just don't think about it. The way I like to think about it is like a really super techie, like Comic-Con, you know? That's what it was like, but like for everything, for just any invention and anything people wanted to present to the world. Yeah. Just very interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't even think I'm reading any nonfiction this month. Like that's on my radar, that is.
Yeah, I know you said you weren't planning to, but you weren't also like, well, we'll see what comes up, you know?
Yeah, I know. I still have, I think I'm like a quarter of a way into Spare, but it was getting to, I don't know, I wasn't liking it when I was reading it before, so, but maybe I should finish that.
Sure.
Did you end up finishing it?
Yeah, I did.
Was it okay?
Yeah, no, I really liked it a lot.
Okay.
I paused kind of halfway through. I think I just sort of had to take a break because I was so familiar with like most of the story anyways. Obviously not his viewpoint, but you know, because I'm such a weirdo about the royals in Britain.
I know.
So like, it was like, okay, this is a little rehashy for me. So I did take a break and went right back to it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought he did a good job, and it sounded like him for the most part. And yeah, very interesting. My mom liked it a lot too. She finished it too. It took her a while, but
Maybe I was just in a funk when I was reading it.
yeah, it's possible.
Before.
I mean,
I have it on the audiobook, so like it's him reading it. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's just not a very good reader. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I don't like his voice. I don't know. But I am very interested in the story, so I would like to. I think it's hard because right now, like, I'm in his like bad boy phase, like where he's talking about like going to the clubs and all the stuff, and I'm just like not interested.
See, I was really interested in that because I was so into celebrity stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I was so into it. So I was following all of it. I didn't believe most of the stuff they were saying about him, but I was seeing it and I'm like, oh my God. Like, so that was really, I was really into that too. Such a dork, honestly. Yeah.
What a crazy life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're going to do now. Now they don't have no money.
Yeah. They'll be all right.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think we've been doing really good about like not doing chatty Cathy time and reading proper. So let's go ahead and do another sprint. And that will take us into the next hour. Right? No.
Yes.
Right before? What time is it? 40?
Just into.
Yeah. So we'll get right over into the next hour.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll decide if we want to do another sprint or if it's time for bed. Which we're still pretty early here, which usually we go a little bit later. But we'll just decide. See how it goes.
It's been time for bed since 8 a.m. for me. So
yeah. I've had a rough day. I have been like cleaning all day. I don't know why. My kids have destroyed my house. And so I just was in a fit today and was like, I need to keep things clean. So I barely sat down once today. So this is like the first like actual relaxing that I'm doing. But I'm also like really aware that my husband works at 6 a.m. So he gets up at like 4:30. So he's probably like, and I'm in the bedroom right now. So he's probably like, oh, I would like to go to bed sometime soon. But he is very accommodating as well because he knows this is my outlet. So, but I am trying to be conscientious. I do have to go and get something to put my phone on because it's going to die. Which if you can't tell, I've had to use my phone again for StreamYard. So that's why sometimes I'm looking over here at my computer and sometimes I'm looking at you guys, but it keeps telling me it's going to die. So I have to get my little apparatus to put you on and then plug you in. So you might see me walk away. But yeah, let's go ahead and bring us right over to the next hour and keep on chugging along in our reading. So if you're with us, good luck with this next sprint. And we'll see you when you come back.
Sounds good.
Okay. Went a little bit past our time, but that's okay.
How far did you get?
I am up to chapter 16, which is 115, page
Nice.
115. So it looks like I'm maybe to the midpoint of part 2. Part 2 seems to be the longest part.
Okay.
It goes pretty far into the book. Let's see here. Part 2 goes to 186. So yeah, I have a bit more to go to finish the part, but it's good. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's still, I mean, it's still, everything is bad, but it's not as, I was really thinking it was going to be a lot worse, but the person she is surrounded by is just gross.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I can imagine where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Dang white people.
I know.
Suck.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, how did you do?
Pretty good. I got to page 44. I don't know what chapter that is, but Mrs. Delphina's in labor, and her mother just got carried back to the plantation. She's got that wound in her leg, and the master's, not there yet or whatever. He's at whatever. So yeah, it all just sort of like hit the fan just right now. So
yeah, I would say from now to the end of that part, it like gonna fly through it because it's a lot happens. Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, good. Oh yeah, this is yeah. This reminds me of when I read the book Homegoing. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, by Jessie.
Such a good book, but still, and even in that book, it's like several different stories, but they're all everything. It's just so sad. Like every experience, it's just like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how it is reading this one. But well done. It's very well done. I mean, are you getting that same impression from where you are?
Yeah, it's very readable. I mean, it's coming right along, and yeah, so far so good.
Good. Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting live discussion, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'll have to come up with some good questions.
I hope people can make it,
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, I think I am gonna call it a night here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know I can't do another one. I'm so tired.
Yeah, I'm really starting to hit my wall. But yeah, I can't believe this is the last reading sprints of 2024.
I know.
Like, it's gonna be Thanksgiving, and then it's gonna be Christmas and New Year's, and all of a sudden we're gonna be in 2025. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for all of you out there watching with us or reading with us, thank you so much for joining. If you happen to be watching this in replay, thank you for joining us. I hope you got some reading done.
Mm-hmm.
For our book club, the next time you'll see us live is here in the end of the month, Tuesday the 26th, for our live discussion of Yellow Wife. The poll will close the previous evening, so the 25th, Monday the 25th, for the Ruth Ware book. So if you're going to be voting in our poll for our January book, that will close on that Monday, and then you'll hear what the book is during our live discussion on Tuesday. And then you won't really see a lot of us until January. So if you're not already, follow us on Instagram. We do post a lot of stuff there. And if you're not already in our Voxer group, please feel free to let me know, and we can add you to that as well. So yeah, I think that's it. I hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.